Christmas traditions all across Europe and even in the United States are increasingly being fenced in, policed, renamed, or even shut down entirely and or attacked with violence. And that raises a question of whether it's just about security or part of a broader push, an attack on Christianity itself. And we're going to be talking about that today.
So you got yourself a modern sporting rifle. Congratulations. But if you can't hit what you're aiming at, it's not going to do you much good. And since quality optics often cost more than the gun itself, you might prefer not to skip a mortgage payment just to afford a red dot. Well, MCG Tactical feels your pain. If you want precision that actually lands on target the first time, meet the Stinger Combat Optic. This little mil-spec overachiever brings Special Forces grade tech to your rail without demanding a second job. You get a crisp HD circle with a 1 MOA center dot, switchable red or green illumination, and 8 brightness levels so you can see it whether you're in full sun or in indoor range. Glasses or no glasses, it doesn't care. Once you use it, iron sights are going to feel like you're aiming through a drinking straw. With Stinger, you snap onto targets like you're part cyborg, dropping groups twice as tight, twice as fast, and leaving your shooting buddies muttering excuses. It's built like it expects you to abuse it. Aluminum housing, fog-proof, shock-proof, weighs just 6.9 ounces, and is impervious to rain. It runs on a rechargeable CR123 Alpha, mounts to any kind of rail, and it even auto shuts off after 2 hours to save you from yourself. And somehow, all that usually runs about $240, but right now, it's only $79. Free shipping, 60-day money-back guarantee. I've got 2 of them and was impressed with the quality when they showed up. Grab yours at mcgtac.com/hot and give yourself the gift of accuracy. That's mcgtac.com/hot. This is a great deal from a company based in Texas and not Shanghai. So get yours now.
Christmas traditions all across Europe and the US are having major security issues. We saw 2 Christmas tree lighting ceremonies in the United States where there were shootings, one in Chicago and one in North Carolina. One person died and several people were injured. In Magdeburg, Germany, the guy drove through a Christmas market, killed 6 people and wounded 338 people. The government refuses to call it terrorism. When there is terrorist attacks, they don't want to call it a terrorist attack, especially if it's anything to do with Islam. The city of Paris this year canceled its New Year's Eve concert on the Champs-Élysées due to security fears, despite the deployment of more than 6,000 police officers. This is in Germany at a Christmas market. That's exciting. Just what you want at your Christmas market. This is in Brussels. This is Istanbul. Spraying paint all over the Christmas tree in Paris. Indoors, mind you. Yeah, good job, Jack Wagons. These guys just try to chop down the Christmas tree in Turkey. Yeah. But we're supposed to be tolerant of their religious stuff. One thing I noticed when I watch these videos is that a lot of the people that are marching in these Free Palestine videos are actually European. They're not typical Arab Muslims at all. Problems we are seeing, by and large, are in areas that have very high migrant populations. Germany has had to transform their Christmas markets into fortified zones with barriers and checkpoints and surveillance. I've got pictures of one of the German Christmas market here where they've got these barriers. That's to keep people from running people over at these things. Some small towns have had to cancel their markets entirely because there have been multiple Islamist-inspired plots targeting German Christmas markets over the last couple of years that have been foiled. They weren't able to pull them off, but they got caught planning to attack Christian market. There was a Christmas market event, and it's not just in Europe, canceled in New York. They canceled their Christmas market after a violent threat, which demonstrates how easy it is to shut down these traditions. Brussels has seen political protests every time they open anything that has to do with Christ or Christmas or Christians, because Belgium and Luxembourg are just overrun with North African migrants. And these people have never been a party to any kind of Christmas celebrations before. And when they see that, it just makes them see red. They just get so mad. They come out and they start screaming Allahu Akbar in the market. You know, I mean, God forbid, right, that we actually have a season where we say to each other, peace on earth, goodwill toward men. Check out this video where a guy went into a Christmas market in Great Britain and found out that it's no longer a Christmas market.
So we've just come down to what is described as London's biggest Christmas market. The only problem is they've called it, if you follow me, they've called it a winter come together. So my challenge now is to find anywhere in this market that says the word Christmas, maybe the word Jesus, any indication that this is indeed a religious holiday in the UK. We've got winter warmers at the winter market. Is this a Christmas market?
It's a winter market.
A winter market? What's the difference?
Something to do with religion, they can't say Christmas, but...
So apparently the stall traders here have been told they can't say the word Christmas. Happy Christmas or happy holidays?
Both.
Why both? It's Christmas, isn't it?
It's Christmas, yeah.
Why would you say happy holidays? Which scenario?
Because not everybody celebrates Christmas.
Happy holidays or happy Christmas?
Oh, happy Christmas. Absolutely happy Christmas.
Whoa, hang on a minute. Christmas? You'll offend people saying that.
I know.
Happy holidays?
Happy Christmas.
Winter
I
market?
like that guy. I know.
Christmas market.
This is the first sign of Christmas I've seen in this market. Oh, good man, look at that. He's in the spirit. You're here, you've got a mulled gin. Cheers. From the winter market, not Christmas. Oh, that's good. That's good. That gets me in the festive mood.
Yeah, I would imagine mulled gin would get you in the festive mood if you got enough of it in you, that's for sure. Definitely warm you up a little bit. So again, this is not just happening in Europe. It's also happening in the United States.
American Heritage Day, I hold
This is in
both
Portland,
gratitude and
Oregon.
truth. The tree that we stand beside was once rooted in its own home.
There's a full-blown genocide happening, live streaming in 4K. I feel like this is the perfect time to bring this up. I feel like this is a perfect time to put them up there, and for your guys' prayers for every single one of the Palestinians and all the oppressed peoples.
They didn't stop there. Another featured speaker, draped in a Palestine flag, broke the crowd out into a Free Palestine chant just moments later.
And so if I could get a free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Now, these developments taken together suggest a soft cultural erasure. If you translate that out over time, we're going to see more and more major events move to virtual events or canceled altogether. We're going to see public expression persecuted. During the Obama administration, Secretary of Health and Human Services or somebody was saying that our religion should just be in our hearts and in our homes and in our churches. We should never bring it into the public square. That's wrong, people. Our religion should be on display everywhere we go, not in a violent way, not in a offensive way where, when we're going to shove it down your throat. But if I want to put up a Christmas tree, if I want to celebrate the birth of my Savior, I should be able to do it in a free country. I should be able to do that in the public square. And you don't have to agree. You don't have to celebrate Christmas. You don't have to believe in it at all. But in a free country, people should have the freedom to express themselves, especially in terms of their religion. This is why it's easy to see now that the UK is no longer a free country. The people there are not citizens, they're subjects. It's not a free country if you can get arrested and put in jail for misgendering somebody. Imagine if the roles were reversed and it was the middle of Ramadan or the middle of some other Muslim holiday and a bunch of Christians came in and crashed the party and started shouting, Jesus is Lord, Jesus is Lord, or any other religion, right? It's just Christianity that it's okay to do this. to. There's a double standard in how these things are understood, how they're treated. Christian versus other religions, Christian traditions are expendable. The security concerns are going to continue even if there was no Christian event ever held in public ever again. You're still going to have these security issues because terrorism actually pays. And it's sad to think that there's so few places anymore where you can just go and have a good time and not worry about some crazed wacko pulling out a gun and killing people or running people over or anything like that. Isn't that nuts? It is really unfortunate that we have to start thinking that way. That used to be the realm of special operators and policemen, but anymore, everybody has to start thinking that way. And it's not about living in fear. It's just about understanding the reality of the times that we live in. Of course, if you have the wherewithal and inclination to get defensive tools and to train on them and be prepared to use them to make people around you safer wherever you go, then I would highly encourage you to do that and figure out what the law says and stay within the boundaries of the law. If you're going to a Christmas market in Germany, I can promise you one thing: you are not allowed to defend yourself at all. They won't let you defend yourself. There is no right to self-defense. And I personally would not live in a country like that. I'm never going to live in a place where I am not afforded the natural right that I have to keep myself and my family safe. Now, let's talk about what's actually causing this. If you look at the number of the millions of migrants that have come into Europe from North Africa and the Middle East and elsewhere over the last 10 years, and you look at the millions of migrants who came into the United States over the last 4 years, those illegal migrants now make up about 10% of our population. In many countries in Europe, it's very similar. There are either foreign-born or the children who are locally born but born to foreign-born parents make up 7 to 10% of the population in countries like France and Spain and Germany. It is a cultural displacement. You've also got all these Gen Z atheistic kids that, they're nuns. They're not anything. They're just atheists. And when you have no ideology that you adhere to, then the strongest ideology around you will seep its way into your life, into your worldview. And if you're a nun, as in I have none in terms of religion, that's not an ideology. It's the lack of an ideology. And so a stronger ideology comes in, like environmentalism. That's definitely a religion. It's got all the hallmarks of a religion. Those sorts of things are going to assert themselves on your worldview, and you won't have anything to defend against that. So they will take over. And that's why we see these jackwagons spraying orange spray paint all over the Christmas tree that somebody's paid a lot of money to put up as a nice reminder of the spirit of Christmas, which is peace on earth and goodwill to men. They become useful idiots for whatever ideology they fall prey to. Now, keep an eye on the time here. This gets into why European countries feel the need to allow all these migrants into their country. Why did Joe Biden feel the need to allow all these migrants into our country? There's been a lot of speculation on that. Most people come down on the idea that, well, they're trying to elect themselves a new people. The government is trying to bring in a bunch of people that will vote them into power, give them the power to vote, and vote them into power in perpetuity. I don't think that's actually the case. I think in the case of Europe, the countries that accepted the most migrants are the ones that have the lowest birth rates. We have a mushroom-shaped demographic where there are a lot of old people and no young people. We need the young people to be working and supporting the old people in their old age under the current social welfare programs, but we don't have enough because nobody's having kids. So we have to bring in migrants to do the work, to pay the taxes, so elderly people can afford to retire under our social welfare systems. Joe Biden had a similar thought in throwing open the floodgates when he came into office. I think that his thought was, if we bring in millions of new workers, those new workers will give the economy a real boost, and it's going to make the economy look like it's doing great. But what we saw was that 70% of the jobs created under the Biden administration were taken by migrants. And this all comes down to is just the absolutely abysmal birth rate. This woman is talking about just how bad it is. Her name is Louise Perry. Take a listen.
The world's population now live in a country where birth rates are not declining. So declining birth rates are the norm. And they started declining, as I said, first in Britain, but it's basically happened everywhere. It seems to just be an inevitable consequence of modernity, that people have fewer children. And there are a whole bunch of reasons associated with this. The one that you'll hear most commonly from London millennials is that it's to do with house prices. It is a factor. That it's become more expensive, particularly in big urban centres like London, New York, San Francisco, Tokyo, wherever, to own property and raise children. That's not the only factor, though, because if that were the only factor, then you wouldn't be seeing this extraordinarily global phenomenon of falling fertility absolutely everywhere, regardless of house prices. It does seem to be just something about modernity discourages family formation.
What is it about modernity that discourages family formation? Well, I would submit to you that it is the liberal abortion laws that we see across most of the Western world. And to prove that, France's total fertility rate right now is 1.8. Most of that is Muslim babies being born in France. So what is the net effect of children being born? Well, what you actually see are prices go up, but that's not how it works, because the decline doesn't happen across all age groups. It happens with the younger age group. So there are more and more old people as a relation to the total number of people in any country. And the old people don't move very often. They tend to keep the house that they bought way back when and that they've paid off. And so without that mobility, there's not a lot of housing available. There's not a lot of housing available to purchase or even rent. Rents and mortgages are out of this world, and wages typically don't rise at the same rate that inflation does. Buying a home is just harder today than it was 30 years ago. And the reason is partially the declining birth rate and partially due to the antidote, the answer that the government comes up with to fix the declining birth rate, which is bringing in more migrants. You get cultural displacement, meaning the cultural traditions that you're used to in your country are going away. They drive up the cost of housing. And what's the answer? The real answer is we should do what we need to do to try to support our kids in having more kids. That is the only way to get out of this. And by the way, in the United States, if everybody started pushing our children to have more kids, the overall political climate is going to get cooler and cooler. It's going to get more and more conservative over time. The intentional cultural displacement has very real consequences, not the least of which is that we can't have a Christmas market anymore, or we're going to get shot. We shouldn't live in fear. And I think that if anything, we should plan more public displays of our faith in the public square and just dare somebody to do something about it.